hear a scene of play. Nice. Lance, what'd you see? You saw Shakespeare? You saw As You... Really? Where'd you see As You Like It? I love As You Like It. Where? The Francis Assistance Center. Did you understand it? It's good. Good. It is a comedy, even though As You Like It is a little problematic. It's not exactly uproariously funny. There's a heck of a lot of betrayal and politics and threat of death. Good. Okay, so you watch As You Like It. Can you describe this for me in any way? Help me understand, because I wasn't there. Wonder how I missed that one. But talk to me about it. Physically talk to me about the place. Don't talk to me about the story. Don't tell me the story of As You Like It. Talk to me about the experience of theater going, Lance. What was the stage setup like? I know. Can somebody help him out? Yeah. Okay, so you had a stage, and then you had what? It looks like a stage, or a weird Jello mold, but a tree. Those are trees. See? Now it looks like nonsense. You had a bunch of trees up there as a backdrop, painted backdrop, probably on canvas, most likely. Okay, so you had painted backdrop. You had the stage set up. Help describe. So we had a couple boxes. That was the setup. Catherine, you add to it?
I don't think it wasn't actually a backdrop. It was like this metal structure with like a light behind it. And they were like, yeah, like these metal boxes and stuff. It wasn't like a normal
Could we say that it was minimalist, that it wasn't very adorned? Okay, so we had a minimalist backdrop here. And then we have rows of seats. It's really weird looking. It looks like like one of those evil aliens where you can see their brain because they have. Okay, now. Roughly how many actors? 15 or so actors? Okay. How were they dressed? Costuming? Peasant clothing? No masks? No masks. Okay. I'm sorry? Faces were painted? So there's some makeup, but no masks, and wearing peasant clothing. Clothing that would be period specific, probably pretty appropriate for the story. Spoken? Spoken? No singing? Probably, hold on. Probably there were a couple songs thrown in there because clowns usually sing in Shakespeare. However, you wouldn't call it a musical, would you? Dancing? Maybe a little bit. But not much. Pretty much just spoken and acted. Somebody talk to me about different theater experiences you might have had. Blake.
I saw Pagliacci opera.
Did you really? Where did you see that?
Valentine.
Valentine? Okay, so talk to me a little bit about how Pagliacci might be a different experience from this.
Well, there is more singing and dancing. But there are subtitles.
What about set? Was the set also minimalist, or would you say?
They actually have more detail. There's like a little card thing, and then like what the clown guy takes with them for shows and stuff.
Okay.
And then the actors, they had their costumes were nice, and they had makeup and everything.
Excellent. Has anybody seen one of the, well, a major Broadway production, like an Andrew Lloyd Webber production or something like that? Okay, Tyler, tell me about which one.
Like before the New Year, I think I saw, I think that's what it was. I saw Les Mis.
Oh, excellent. Okay, talk to me about Les Mis.
Well, it's all singing.
Right. Okay.
And
Do they dance, or they dance? Okay.
And the set stuff was like pretty elaborate.
Elaborate sets. Were the sets in motion? Anybody seen Phantom of the Opera? Okay, so very mobile sets in Phantom of the Opera. What do all of these have in common? They all have a stage. That is true. They all have a stage. They all have a single stage. Sets. Sure. And different shows produce different sets. But, Allie, what's the significant difference between this and maybe a major Hollywood feature film?
Like a major Hollywood feature film like has more effects. Like
Mhm.
sometimes they have like stuff flying from the ceiling, and it's more about that than the actual like actors and stuff.
Okay, excellent. You're on.
Like actors on stage have to be much better than actors on television.
Why?
They don't have the benefits of scenery to benefit. Because like on a stage, your scenery's only limited to the amount that you can change in between scenes, and then like one, in like as you like it, they have this one metal tree thing that serves like 5 different purposes. So it's like more up to the actors to make that come to our imagination as this is a tree, but now this is a fortress, or this is a castle.
Brianne, would you like to expand on that?
Pretty much like they're the whole idea of the play is like for the viewers to use their imagination, so they
Mhm.
they pretty much have to like make up what's not fair, like what's lacking, and so the actors have to like exaggerate and really like show what's not fair.
Christian.
It's overall the way you see the play,
Uh-huh.
because Hollywood films have the benefit of using special effects and cameras to create cinematography, whereas in the theater, like the audience could see the play from all different kinds of angles, and the actors don't have the benefit of having like a camera to make them look good. And it's a lot. It's a lot of sometimes it's a lot of improvisation because they don't have like takes.
Yes, Blake.
Because like in movies, if they mess up, they can just redo it.
Sure.
But in theaters, they can't because if it's live, everybody's watching them.
Catherine?
Oh, I was gonna say like if you're a theater actor, you have to like do one emotion a million times.
Huh?
If you're acting in a movie, you could just cry for one scene and never have to do it again.
Good point. Alex? Oh, the audience is right there in front of you. And that creates a different dynamic. So in theater, from what I'm hearing from you folks, is that there's much more burden upon the actors to create a representation of human existence, to create a representation of life, and they don't have the benefit of certain crutches that special effects and other film techniques would provide them with. And stage setup is sometimes elaborate to help provide this illusion of reality, and sometimes minimalist, thus putting the responsibility on the actors to create these sorts of scenes in the viewer's mind. It makes it all the more difficult because the viewer is right there in front of the actors. It's a different sort of entertainment dynamic, and it's thousands of years old. So before the benefit of cinema technology, in which we could kill imagination just by serving up imaginary worlds to people without any effort, actors had to create these on a stage. So we're going to talk about how that started. And our purpose over this day and tomorrow is to explore just some of the basics of Greek theater history to understand how this form of entertainment and art came into being. Because when you're looking at the play that some of you have on your desk right now, you cannot read it and hope to understand it unless you understand the way in which it was written and the way it was immediately produced. So if Sophocles is writing Antigone, he's not writing Antigone for you. Some of you have started reading it and said, yeah, I know that. Got it. From the first sentence, I figured out he's not writing for me. Stu Monk Kidd is writing for you. H.G. Bissinger is writing for you. I know you don't think it, but Joey Kagawa is writing for you. You come from the same basic point of history, same basic technological assumptions, same basic artistic assumptions. They're writing for you in your language. Sophocles is not. Euripides is not. So if you want to truly understand what's going on, it's best to understand who they were writing for and what the context of their writing was. So let's talk about the development of Greek theater. Let's go through the story. And about a third of the class is playing good little student by taking notes. The other 2/3 are yet to earn my admiration. Sheridan, who are these people? Very good. Sheridan, there's an activity here at Southview High School. What do we call these people at Southview? There's an activity class at Southview High School, the choir. Very good. I always mention that because if you want to understand what these people probably looked and acted like way back in 400 or 500 BC Athens, then think about your own Southview choir. Every time I see the choir performing in the gym, I think, wow, that's probably what a Greek chorus looked like. Standing there in rows, acting in what? I'm sorry. Yes, it is sometimes very disturbing to be me. Kind of think about something when you're in those assemblies. Thank you, Blake. You and me, right there. A group of people, how many? A group of people, most likely clothed in robes, standing as a group, not as individuals, and singing songs. All right, you see it in the gym here during presentations. You may have seen it in your place of worship, church. You may have seen people group together and sing. It's a chorus. It's a choir. We've seen it. You know what happens, and it has ancient origins. Ancient origins in religious worship. So, ancient Greeks got together, grouped up, and decided to sing some songs. And those songs would sing about Greek gods and goddesses, tell myths. We do the same thing today. Have any of you ever gone caroling, by the way? Yeah, a couple of you. I know it is. It's because people are bitter and cold. At some point in history, we have this group, and once again, this is something you can see our own choir doing. At some point in history, a person steps out and decides to give a solo. And that person steps out and decides to, oh, I'm going to sing my own little deal. What do we call that person? Nope, not in this context. What? We call this person the protagonist. He looks happy to be the protagonist. We're singing songs about Greek gods and goddesses, and this person steps out to deliver a solo. What do you think that person is singing about? What do you think that person's point in the song is? Alex. Of one of the characters. If the song is carrying a story of Greek gods and goddesses, as did those sorts of literature and songs, then it makes sense that a soloist would start to enact a part, and thus acting happens. So this person steps out just as a soloist would and becomes an actor. And then somebody follows. So here we have a second person stepping out to become an actor, and Christian, that person is called? Very good. Oh, you should embrace the word deuteragonist just because deuter is for some reason fun to say. The deuteragonist. Soloist. Now we have a duet. Now we have two characters. True, however, the transposition of the U and the E could mean that it's a different sort of, but duet means two, right? And the deuter means two as well. So yes, same derivation should be. This, of course, is not enough. So the third person steps out. And what do we call this person? And now we got a full-blown stage play on our hands. The chorus is still there. The chorus is always present in Greek theater. But now we have three people who, in the play, will never actually be part of the chorus anymore. It's not a matter of them fading back into the chorus and then coming out to deliver a solo. No, they are now individual characters in their own right. Protagonist, tritagonist, deuteragonist. You have three actors running around playing all the main roles. Who's the chorus play? Townspeople. Might step in for townspeople. Who else might they be, think? Not physical background. That's the function I'm trying to think of the characters they portray. They might be the people of the city. They're often the elders of a city. So if we're talking about representatives, and in Medea, they're the women of the city. What does the chorus do? Now answer that question. You guys had some, Lance? They give some introduction and what we might call, in our fancy English terms, exposition. They fill in the blanks if we need to know what's going on. What else do they do? Paige? They do summarize, that's right. So we've got a summary of events sometimes. They could foreshadow. That could be part of it, but it's not a crucial function of the chorus. A crucial function of the chorus is commentary. Talking about which characters are doing rightly and which characters are doing wrongly. Telling you how to think about things. Telling you what the gods would think about certain actions that are taking place on stage. So they do give background. They do summarize what's going on. They help you along, but they also give commentary. Structurally, the commentary happens in these long songs that the chorus would sing while the protagonist, deuteragonist, and or tritagonist have exited the stage for a costume change. So these people leave the stage for a moment, the chorus is left there, and they give commentary on what's going on, and they're singing it. It's important to understand, and this is one of the significant differences between Greek theater and what you know today as basic theater, not musical theater, but I'm talking regular theater like the Shakespearean theater, that this would be primarily sung and danced. I wanted to take you from the basic origins of the chorus to explain to you how Greek theater is always musical in nature. You're reading poetry, because poetry is music put to words. When you read long speeches from the chorus, imagine that those were definitely sung. Were the lines from everybody else sung? Probably not, especially short bits that are back and forth. Those were probably spoken. However, long periods in which the chorus delivers a speech, most likely sung, there was probably choreographed dance along with it as well. And that's how Greek theater comes to be. And when you read Antigone or Medea, or you read Agamemnon, this is what you'd see on stage. You would see 3 actors and a 12 to 15 member chorus. What would that stage be like? Catherine? Very good. An open-air amphitheater. Here are some images of amphitheaters excavated. And of course, you can find amphitheaters like this throughout Europe, because the Greek architecture then migrated to Roman architecture, and as they conquered all of Europe, they brought their architecture with them. So some of the most striking amphitheaters can be found outside of Rome and Greece. Open-air amphitheater with a structure a bit like this. Oh, and by the way, in certain smaller city-states or local villages, a hilltop would suffice, a sort of a sloped area. They wouldn't actually use the fully built-up constructed amphitheater if one was not available. So this is where action happens. A bit different from what you have experienced at the Stranahan or the Valentine or the Franciscan Center or here at Southview High School. Because there you have a stage. Anybody know the fancy term for your stage there? Starts with a P. What? Yeah, Proscenium Stage. Proscenium Stage. That's not what you have here. Proscenium Stage, by the way, you see that? Okay. What is the skene? It's a tent where people go back to change. Costume changes. The skene usually represents what? The background, which would probably be what? Probably some palace or city hall of some sort. Or a temple. Could be a temple. Or could be Medea's house, which is where most of the action of Medea takes place. So here we have the skene. Right before it is the proscenium, which means in front of the skene. And skene is where we derive our term for scene. If we say there's a scene change, that is referring to the ancient Greek practice of actors going back into the scheme to change clothes for the next stage of action. Yes. So they walk back into here, they change clothes, walk back into the orchestra area for the main action. So they leave the proscenium and walk out into the sort of almost theater in the round, as you might be familiar with for Shakespeare. So Shakespeare's stage setup owes more to the Greeks than it does to our modern-day proscenium stage, where we have taken all the actors, placed them over here, and we have left this for the orchestra, if one exists, and now there's this wall that in modern-day theater separates the actors from the audience. Skip that for a moment. What other difference between ancient Greek theater and modern theater are these pictures indicating? Yeah, Logan. They wore masks. Not makeup, masks. This is an example of an ancient mask. This is an example of a modern-day version. The masks used in Greek theater were often exaggerated and large. Yeah, they were probably very heavy too. What's the advantage of being an exaggerated and large mask in this sort of environment? Tyler? Oh, that's true. That is true, but they would be used for normal people as well. Big heads. Yes, Paige? You're far away. There are no cameras. So you're, I don't know, 50, 70 yards away from these people. You want to know who is whom. So make the mask really big. Yeah, they would be large. I will show a 1960s version of Oedipus the King. I'm not going to show the entire thing, just a little snippet. To show, they try to show what it would be like in ancient Greece, and they use masks. And their masks are very large. So it looks like people running around with big heads. Archaeologists have also discovered primitive horn-like amplification devices in the masks. Ancient microphone for your voice to expand over the space to reach people in the back. So, masked, a couple different actors and actresses. What benefit does the mask produce besides just identifying character? Blake?
So you can't tell if it's a boy or girl playing.
That's true. So men can play female roles. What else, Logan?
When the character, when the actors have multiple characters, they wouldn't, the audience wouldn't remember certain things what the characters have.
Correct. You have protagonists, deuteragonists, and tritagonists. That does not mean that you have 3 characters. You have more than 3 characters. We only have 3 actors. So a scheme change would allow them to change character as well. To be continued tomorrow.